You're not failing your diet. Your nervous system is. So if you're a high performing woman who does everything right and still can't lose the weight, this is the part no one told you. Dieting in an inflamed body doesn't create weight loss. It actually creates more inflammation. So every restriction, every deadline, every I'll start Monday, your nervous system reads all of that as stress. And stress is the exact signal that tells your body to hold on to more fat. I'm Nancy, physical therapist and the Autoimmune Freedom Coach. And I failed every diet I've ever tried. And not because I lacked discipline or because I didn't work hard enough, but because I was trying to solve an inflammation problem with a food solution. So once I shifted my approach to using 4 specific anti-inflammatory tools, my body finally started to respond. Not because I was eating less, but because for the first time, my body felt safe enough to change. So that's what I'm sharing with you today. The first point here is that you actually have to stop trying to lose weight and you got to start building strength instead. This is the first tool that changed everything for me. And it had nothing to do with food. It had everything to do with the goal itself. Because here's what most women do. They set a goal for how much weight they want to lose by a certain amount of time. And therefore, the goal of losing weight becomes a stress signal. When you wake up every morning focused on what you need to get rid of, what you need to restrict, and you get on a scale, your nervous system hears all this as a threat because your nervous system gets the signal that you're not doing enough. And a body under threat does not release fat. It holds on, it protects, it stores. When your body is inflamed and your nervous system is already running on high alert, if you have an autoimmune condition or chronic inflammatory problem, then adding the pressure of a weight loss goal is like pouring cortisol on top of cortisol. Your body can't tell the difference between the stress of a weight loss goal and actual danger. It responds the same way to both. It holds on to fat because fat is stored energy. And in times of stress, our body needs energy reserves because we need energy to survive. So as long as you're in survival mode, you're not going to be losing weight. Sorry to break it to you. This is not your body failing you though. This is your body doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is to protect you. We want those energy reserves when we're actually needing to survive. But if you're just living your everyday life and you're holding on to fat, well, something needs to shift. So here's the first tool to help you. Shift how you set your goal entirely. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. So instead of asking your body to lose something, because you're, again, always telling your body that you're not enough until you lose weight, ask your body to build something, build strength, build muscle, build energy, build capacity. And when you move your body to build rather than to burn, your nervous system receives a completely different signal. It receives a signal that you're safe and that there is enough, that your body is being invested in, not being attacked. And that shift alone, before you change a single thing about what you eat, begins to lower the cortisol response that has been keeping your body stuck. Now, this is not a mindset trick. This is biology. Muscle is metabolically active. It burns energy at rest. It reduces inflammatory markers and supports hormone regulation, which is everything for women navigating autoimmune conditions, perimenopause, and chronic fatigue. When you build muscle, your body composition shifts naturally, not because you forced it, but because you gave your body a reason to change that felt safe enough to respond to. The weight doesn't leave because you fought it. It leaves because your body finally stopped needing it. Now, I can share with you so many stories where this shift changed everything, including myself. And to be real, I think as women, we all struggle with our weight at some point in our lives. And it doesn't matter how much you weigh, at some point, you'll look at the scale and feel that's not good enough. And I see it in clients where they say, oh man, I'm too heavy. I don't like it. Let's drop 10 pounds. And then when they drop the 10 pounds, they say, oh no, this is too much. I want to gain the 10 pounds back. And the relationship we have with the scale is challenging. And so for me personally, I knew that I couldn't keep battling the scale because the scale seemed to always win. Meaning it didn't matter what the scale said, I was always unhappy. And I had to shift how I approached weight loss into what am I actually willing to build here? What would make me proud? And then it stopped being about losing weight because I wouldn't feel proud for losing weight. I would feel proud if I could build muscle, if I had the strength to lift my kids, that I can carry the groceries without hurting my shoulder or my back, that I have muscle because when I have more muscle, I have more energy. And so when that goal shifted, I started feeling so much better in myself. And when I started teaching this to my clients, client after client started to look at their own health the way I did. Instead of focusing on losing weight, focus on building strength. And everything really does change when you do that. So the second tool here is to stop setting deadlines and make this become your new way of living. And this is the challenge with weight loss challenges or boot camps. It's do this in 90 days and you're going to lose 15 pounds, or you're going to fit into a lower pant size or whatever it is, and you have 90 days to do this. And the problem with all of those things, yeah, they work. A lot of times they do work. You can force yourself to lose weight. But the reason why most people don't keep the weight loss is because that's not a sustainable way to live. You can't keep forcing yourself through cortisol to lose weight. And so the second tool here is to create a strategy or a way of living that you feel good about, that you can do forever. And nobody in the wellness industry wants you to know this because you can't package it into a 30-day program. The deadline itself is what lures people in, but it also makes people sick because every time you say, I'll do this for 90 days, or I'll just do it until the wedding, or until I lose 20 pounds, your nervous system starts a countdown, and countdowns create urgency, and urgency creates cortisol, and cortisol creates inflammation. So it might work because the cortisol will get you running at the boot camp or on the treadmill, and so you can burn energy. But this is also why people have weight loss plateaus, is because once you burn a certain amount of energy, your body, if it keeps operating under stress, again, it's going to keep holding on to that weight. So inflammation creates the exact weight retention you're trying to escape because you're literally using stress to try to heal a stress response. So it'll never work long term. Not because you're failing, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the structure itself is working against your biology. And here's what I've seen in over 20 years of working with women with autoimmune conditions. The women who truly heal and lose the weight are not the ones who found the perfect 12-week protocol. They're the ones who stopped looking for an exit ramp and decided to make peace with the road. Healing is not a sprint with a finish line at the end. It's a relationship with your body that you get to choose every single day. And when you remove the deadline, something profound happens. The pressure lifts, cortisol drops, your body stops bracing for the end and starts trusting that this is your new normal. And when you're new normal, your body can finally let go of the weight, of the tension, of the inflammation it's been holding on to for years. So this isn't about being perfect forever. It's about removing the finish line so your body can finally stop running and start settling. So the shift from I'm on a program to this is just how I live now is one of the most powerful healing tools you have. So one of my clients, she always looked at her weight or her health as an achievement. When I get to this point, when I lose 10 pounds, or when I can do this, when I get there, then I'll be happy with myself. It's a classic story we tell ourselves. When I get here, I'll be happy. The problem is there shouldn't be a deadline because the reality is how life is it goes up and down. And if you're lucky and if you're committed, it will look like this. Up and down, but you're trending upward. So if we were to look at any single point in time, you're not going to be able to tell if you're successful or not because the journey of life is messy. It goes up and down. But if we were to draw a line through a trend, then you can say, okay, I'm trending upward. And the second she realized that there's no end game, that it's not about hitting a certain goal, that it's really about her embodying the practice every day, everything shifted. She was able to lose weight. She was able to decrease inflammation and lose the pain because that's what it takes. The next tool that I'd like to share with you revolves around food because as much as we have a hard time with the scale, we have a hard time with eating because we think what we eat influences what we see in the scale. So one of the most powerful nervous system shifts you can make, it's going to sound crazy here, is to actually learn to enjoy your food. I mean, actually enjoy it. Because when you eat in a state of stress, because you're worried about tracking or calculating or eliminating, and you're feeling guilty, and it becomes this whole process that has nothing to do with eating, your body goes into fight or flight. And in that state, digestion shuts down, stomach acid drops, nutrient absorption decreases, and inflammation rises. So even if you're eating perfectly, which there's no such thing, your body can't use the nutrients properly. So when you eat in a state of calm or presence and enjoyment, your body shifts into rest and digest. Now digestion works. Now nutrients absorb. Now inflammation can actually decrease. This is why the most anti-inflammatory thing you can do at a meal has nothing to do with what's on your plate. It's the state you're in when you are eating. So a perfectly clean meal eaten in guilt creates stress. An imperfect meal eaten in calm creates safety. And your body heals in safety, not in stress. And I can't tell you the number of clients who learn this the hard way. And everybody has to go through this. We have a very messed up relationship with food in society. I think we all know that. One client in particular who was on a vegan diet, and she was in the food industry, so she really just saw how messed up the food could be. She was worried about the pesticides and the hormones in the food. And because she was so worried about what she was eating, her diet consisted of only a very limited number of items because everything else seemed to create a flare up. And when we started working together and I showed her that your body is able to filter out the negative things in the food if you provide safety while you eat and if you actually learn to enjoy your food. So the first thing I shared with her, her first piece of homework was to go and eat ice cream because she loved ice cream. And she hadn't eaten ice cream in years because she deprived herself of it. So guess what happens when she started eating ice cream? She started feeling good. And when she started feeling good, guess what happened? She started eating more and more food. And her inflammation decreased, her pain decreased, and she started losing weight with ice cream. That's the thing that people cannot wrap their heads around because it seems so counterintuitive. How can ice cream help me lose weight? Because it has less to do with food and more to do with how you feel while you're eating. That's why I always encourage people to love their food. Because the reality is you can't eat ice cream every meal every day. But if you just learn to enjoy the meal that you eat, the more you do that, you'll get the results that you're looking for. So let's pause here for a second because I would like to share with you something important. One of the biggest reasons women stay stuck in the diet and inflammation cycle is that they're treating the wrong root cause. They're addressing the symptoms without ever understanding what's actually driving inflammation. And this is exactly why I built an inflammation indicator test. It's a quick 5-minute tool that helps you identify the real roots of your flare-ups so you know exactly what your body needs to heal. Many of my clients tell me it's the first time something actually made sense of what they've been experiencing. So the link is below. Take it right now after the video, and you're going to finally see why what you've been doing hasn't been working the way you'd want it to. Okay, let's talk about the final anti-inflammatory tool. You actually need to learn to feed your body like it's worth building, not like it's worth punishing. Now, I'm going to let that sit because that's hard because we're so used to treating food like a tool that will reward us or punish us. Food, as I just shared in the last point, is meant to nourish us. It's meant for enjoyment. And the only way food can be nourishing is if you actually feed your body what it needs physiologically, not as restriction, but as construction. Here's something you have to understand. Every single day you're alive, you are breaking down your body. There's inflammation every day. Every time you eat, every time you lift weights, every time you inhale pollution, which is everywhere, it's going to create an inflammatory response in your body. That's normal. But your body's also designed to heal from this inflammation every day. And it can only heal if you feed your body healing compounds, building blocks. Everything else is noise, filler. So there are so many diets that remove building blocks. And this is very harmful because you can never really heal or decrease inflammation if you're missing key parts to your nutrition. So let's break it down. First, let's talk about carbs because everybody now thinks carb is the enemy. So you have to know what carbs are actually. They're a source of sugar or glucose, fuel for your nervous system. Your brain needs glucose to operate. Your adrenal system depends on glucose to regulate cortisol levels. When you cut carbs out completely, especially if you're already in a stressed, inflamed state, you're not reducing inflammation, you're actually creating more inflammation, you're depriving yourself of what you actually need, and you're removing the exact fuel your body needs to calm itself down, which is crazy and nobody talks about that. Your body will therefore compensate by producing more cortisol, which drives more inflammation and more weight retention. So instead of eliminating carbs completely, like in a keto diet, choose carbs where your body can use them steadily. Now, obviously not carbs are made equal. Eating ice cream is not the same as eating carrots. Carbs that spike our sugar level quickly have a high glycemic index. So we'd like to choose the carbs that have low glycemic index, especially carbs with fiber, like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They have low glycemic index and they have fiber, which helps us digest our food and doesn't spike our sugar levels. Root vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, yams, they are a great source of carbs that our body actually needs. And it also supports digestion. And did you know that when you boil these root vegetables, it lowers glycemic index versus cooking them when they're roasted? And when you pair carbs with protein and fat, that also stabilizes blood sugar. So it's not that carbs are bad for you. It's just that what kind of carbs you're eating and how you're eating your carbs is affecting your stress and inflammation levels. So that's something that you have to understand. The second building block is protein. Protein is what is truly a building block because that's what we need to repair. So inflammation, as I said, happens in most cellular processes every day. Inflammation breaks down our body. The second stage of healing requires building it back up stronger. So every time you lift weights, your body's breaking down. That's a catabolic process. Protein builds our cells back up. We need proteins for all cellular processes. Muscle tissue, immune function, hormones all require adequate protein. Most people in general have a very low protein diet because we're sold on a diet that we're told is healthy, is eat a lot of snacks. I forget what it's called, but I think it's called the girlfriend diet, when women will just like pick at foods and they'll just eat carrot sticks and olives and hummus and crackers, and they're not eating enough protein. And I see this in my clients all the time. Eating protein, especially if you pair it with good carbs, will stabilize your blood sugar levels, which also stabilize your cortisol levels. Okay, the third food group that we all need is fat. Now, before fat was the previous evil, now it's carbs. The thing is, fats, carbs, protein, we need them all. Fat is our hormone foundation. All of our hormones are produced from fat. So especially in perimenopause and menopause, when hormonal shifts are already happening, your body needs dietary fat to produce estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol. When fat drops too low, hormones drop, and hormones naturally drop in perimenopause and menopause. And when hormones drop, inflammation rises, metabolism slows, and weight increases. So fat is not the problem, it's a part of the solution. When your body has enough carbs to regulate stress, enough protein to repair, and enough fat to support hormones, it finally has what it needs to heal. So of course there's different kinds of fats. We need fats that are going to support our hormones the best, which are fats from healthy animals and olive oil, coconut oil, avocados, nuts. These give us a healthy source of fat. Fish oil. Fat is where we store our toxins. And so this is why if you're going to eat fats from animals, it's best to eat fats that come from animals who are not fed antibiotics and growth hormones, because they'll be storing it in their fat and we'll be eating that fat. All this to say is that fat from animals is not bad for us either. It's just that it's been named the enemy because we're told it can spike our cholesterol levels. But it's the bad fats that spike our cholesterol levels. Basically, what I'm saying is to stop organizing your eating around what to remove and start organizing it around what your body needs to rebuild. So this shift changes everything, not just how you eat, but how your body responds. So I want to leave you with this. The women I work with who finally heal and lose the weight are not the ones who found the perfect diet or the perfect supplement. They're the ones who stopped fighting their bodies and started listening to them. Because your body isn't broken. It's responding intelligently to the signals you're giving it. And when you change those signals, your body can finally change in response. So if you're ready for that kind of change, if you're ready to stop fighting your body, stop pressuring your body, stop forcing it to change, and you're ready to start healing, come join me in the Autoimmune Freedom Workshop. This workshop is not to give you more information. It's to give you the exact step-by-step plan on what you can do to start decreasing inflammation, to start living the life that you deserve to live, because you deserve to feel good in your body. So if you are committed to that kind of change, just hit the link below and you can join that workshop right now. This is the work that changes everything, not because it's complicated, but because it finally addresses the right thing. If this resonates, can you do me a favor and subscribe? Because I do this work because I'd love for women to feel empowered with the tools to heal themselves. So I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.